project, I am creating an iBook that will be used by students taking EDSEC 150, Concepts of Secondary Education. And this book is supposed to give students an opportunity to learn in an interactive environment, to provide a structure and outline for the course, and to also serve as a guidepost for any questions that they may have, introducing the new units and giving them opportunities to reflect on what they're learning throughout the course before they do the weekly blog assignments. So I'm going to walk you through what I've done so far. This is a draft, it is a work in progress, and I'm using iBook's software to do this. So this is my first iBook, and I look forward to hearing your feedback. So this is the first chapter. It is called New Teacher Orientation. There are guiding questions here and a quotation by Socrates, and the picture is made by one of my former students, Jacob Durnan, who will be serving as a peer mentor, and I'll tell you more about that in a little bit. And these are a variety of new teachers that are finding their way, and part of what we're trying to do is show diversity in teachers. So you will notice, even though this is just a draft and a sketch, there is a Muslim female, there will be a redhead female, and there will be an African American male. So teacher populations that some of my students may not have seen, but beginning to orient them to the greater world beyond where they necessarily come from. So on the second page, we see it's divided into sections, and there are guiding questions here. Okay, now one of the reasons why I've chosen to use an iBook is to provide students with the different milieu, as I was saying, but also to provide accessibility and study skills. Okay, and you can see this in the guiding questions, okay, getting students to think about what the iBook does. The way the student interacts with this on their iPad or in the iBooks module on their app on their computer, they can highlight, okay, in different colors, or they can add a note, whatever it is that they're looking to do. They can also look up words in the dictionary. So for example, maybe I look at this word here and I'm not quite sure what it is. I can define that word under more. Okay, looking that up, and now I have a definition. Another thing that I can do with this is I can highlight text, and I can have the computer read it to me.
To help you prepare and learn the ropes of your new school, you will receive a handbook, W.
Now, one of the things that this will do is provide students with visual tracking difficulties or students with dyslexia the ability to hear the book. For me, this actually is one of the main ways that I am able to read, because reading serif text, which is what I find in most of my books, is very difficult. However, by already having the book in iBooks, students will be able to immediately access that without having to scan it in. They also have access to a glossary, and important words that are importing into the glossary, students will be able to access immediately, looking in the glossary, and they can also see related words. And when I'm done with the glossary, all I have to do is click done. Let's go to the next page. So we continue to see text, and all read words either go to an internet page or an email in this case, which we can see here. It just immediately popped into my email account, and I could send myself an email. All people are going to be linked with an email or their LinkedIn account or with a web page. Now over here, you're going to see two interactive widgets. So this is called a scroll bar, where I've imported the master syllabus of the course for students to read through. Okay. And then over here, I have a review section, so students can actually immediately check for understanding. What is not part of the master syllabus that they read above here? Is it the lesson plan, the creation of this portfolio, academic standards, or observations? And if I click on this and I check answer, I'm going to see that I'm wrong. and I can try again. The correct answer is actually lesson plan development. If I want, I can clear that answer for later so I can have it as a study guide. On section 2 here, we talk a little bit about the guiding philosophy of the course, and again, I have questions to help students start to reflect. And on the next page, again, I have a check for understanding here. On the third section, this is where we begin to get a lot of the interactive widgets, as we call them, and I've imported widgets from a free widget provider called Bookery, and the students will be able to use these in the iBooks app. So we start talking here about, during the course of this, you'll see we have collaboration. We start talking about the idea of colleagues. Your colleagues are here to provide you feedback and encouragement. Or maybe I'd prefer to have this in another color here. Let's just underline it. That makes it a lot easier for me to see. So I'm going to open up this interactive so students can begin to think about the questions. And on iPads, they can actually type on the on keyboard, the keyboard that's embedded into the iPad. Or, as is the case on the computer, they can actually come in here and type using their keyboard these words, ... or I think ... They can then choose to share them via on the class Facebook page. If they have an Evernote account, they can email them. And I'm considering setting up a Twitter account for the class for them to immediately show what they're looking at. And they can also sign into Bookery if they choose to create an account. When I'm done with this, all I have to do is click Escape or Done. And I have here, down here, another link, which will actually take you to my LinkedIn account. So all of the folks with LinkedIn accounts that are co-facilitating the course with me will be embedded this way so that students can learn more about them. And this is one of the things I'm trying to teach students to begin the process of networking for their career. Let's go back here. So we go down here and I'm introducing more ideas of myself, and I try to tell a story that helps students begin the idea of reflection. And so students can look also at the gallery and see pictures that I've added, or they can pop the pictures out, see them larger. And then again, when I'm done with that, I just click Done. The same thing I can do with a movie widget, which I use the exact Prezi that I've used for the beginning of the class introduction. What I did was I turned it into a video, and you're pretty familiar with that.
My name is Carrie.
You already know my name. We'll move on from there. Again, I have a glossary definition. Let's go to the next page. So here I'm talking about continuing my introduction while introducing a story of what the idea of normal is and how it is relative and how I learn that. My students, when they're done with my course, will be moving on to multicultural education, EdMul 205. And that's a very difficult course for many of our students, so I'm trying to lay the groundwork and also getting them to begin the process of ongoing reflection. Because one of my core beliefs is that teachers have to be constantly reflecting on what it is that they believe and they think. Now here are a couple more interactives. This one is also done with Bookery. Since I talked about Polar Trek, students can go in and actually learn more about it on the website, which you can see how that works. And again, I'm just going to click Escape out of here. Another interactive that I did, because I talked about where Barrow was, is to give students a chance to think about where is Barrow, and then to connect that with their own home environment. So this is an example of an interactive using Google Maps on Bookery, and students can zoom in and out just as they would do on the regular Google Maps app. Another thing that I did here was I used a pop-out widget, which you can click on the picture and see an explanation of it. So it's not taking up room in the text itself, it just pops out. The next part that I'm beginning to get to are the peer mentors, some of the co-facilitators for the course are also including their introductions. And you'll see we have a link here to Jacob's website, which also provides a model and a framework for students to begin thinking about their own websites, which is a core component of the course. Now his site's pretty big, so it's taking a second to load. And this has all of his work, blogs, the resources that he's created, and his teaching observations to give students an idea. And the mentors have very different websites, so it kind of gives them more ideas about how they can create their own framework. Let's go back. Now, you'll also see here that we have the link to his LinkedIn. And we had a framework that the students, the peer mentors, are providing, telling what they learned from the class and why they're back for more, and a piece of advice. And some pictures to also provide context. Again, we could pop the picture out in the gallery if we'd like, but we're not going to do that in this case. So this is the beginning of the book. We're going to expand it with all of the assignments for the course and all of the content that's covered. It's a lengthy process, but so far we're happy with the results, and we're looking forward to adding more. And I'm looking forward also to having more students and mentors involved and guest speakers be able to put in their own content. So this is really a collaborative process. And we're also working with in-service teachers to add their thoughts and ideas as well into each content area that we'll be providing. I'd like to take a moment though to thank you for providing me your feedback and input, because that'll help me and the students that I'm working with who are using this as part of a research study next year really begin to get the layout and feedback ready to go. So thank you very much, and I really look forward to hearing your thoughts as to where we can take this.